At Service Logic, we believe the future of the skilled trades lies in training and development, and that's why we created the Edge, a platform dedicated to empowering our greatest assets, our people. From hands-on training to leadership development, Edge is where technicians grow their skills, expand their opportunities, and build lasting careers. Because when people succeed, our companies, our customers, and our industry thrive. This is the Edge. This is the future of the skilled trades.
I chose iConnect training equipment because I already previously had some iConnect training equipment. And I was very pleased with the equipment I had, the quality of it, and pre-designed labs that came with it. So when I expanded it more into the catalog, I decided I wanted to get this refrigeration trainer in my program to expand my program. My experience so far using the TU-155 has been a pretty good experience, especially my second year students, and it the light bulb kind of syndrome goes off when you see that little flicker in their eye and oh, I got it. That's what us instructors, what we look for is the I got it moment. And this helps me to the I got it moment with my students, and that's what's my goal to achieve.
We are Daikin, the #1 global indoor comfort provider. Our innovative home and building solutions are engineered with energy efficiency and sustainability at their core, ensuring improved indoor air quality for all. From heating and cooling to ventilation, air purification, refrigeration technologies, and connected devices, we are at the forefront of technology, addressing the pressing challenges of sustainability.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us on Did You Know, the ESCO HVAC show. I actually just got back from New York. I was taking a trip up to Ellicottville, New York, to the iConnect training manufacturing facility, doing some fitting. We're going to be adding in a couple of the iConnect trainers. We're going to be doing the 808, which is an R290 heat pump trainer, tabletop heat pump trainer. And then we're going to be doing the 355, which is the refrigerant recovery evacuation charging station. So we're going to be we're setting that into place here in the very near future. So we got back into town, got everything set back up. Now we're going to be diving deeper into a fantastic topic. And we're going to be spending a lot more time bringing educators onto the program. You know, we spent a lot of time with OEM trainers. We haven't spent as much time with our technical trainers from the schools, which is the whole reason we do this show. So today we're going to be spending some time with Armando Alaniz. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Yeah, thank you so much for having me on the show.
You know, we had such a good time at AHR. We actually just got the chance to sit and hang out at AHR, talk tech, talk nerd, and just really, spend some time enjoying our industry and spending a lot of time talking about like how do we deliver content. So we're going to be bringing in more educators, particularly ones that have unique perspectives of how to deliver content. So all of you in the audience, we'd love to know where you're joining from. Hey, Scott, absolutely. I'm glad that you're joining us. I actually stopped yesterday to the Wayne County schools and spent some time with Scott checking out his program. It's only a year old. Scott is soaking up this information because like most of us, Scott came out of the field as a technician, went into the classroom, got handed the keys and said, okay, see you at the Christmas party. Make sure everybody passes the class. Right? So a lot of the delivery method is where many of us struggle when we go in the classroom. It's a new tool, right? It's something we have to learn. And so anytime we can learn new ways to teach, it makes us all so much more successful. So we're going to spend a little bit of time today, and I think you're going to enjoy this perspective. So Armando, give us a little bit of your background before we dive into this fun way of teaching wiring diagrams and electrical.
Sure. Yeah, I was born and raised in Los Angeles. So I had a friend at the time. I was working at a grocery store. And so I was mopping the floors, and he was coming the opposite way, and we bump into each other, and he says, "Have you ever thought about HVAC?" And like too many of us, you don't know what HVAC means. I had to look it up,
Yeah.
and I went to a trade school, and I'm a big believer that three things can happen in a trade school. You can learn nothing, no knowledge. You can learn what you're supposed to, or learn the wrong things or the wrong way. So in my
Yeah.
case, I learned the wrong way. And so, like you said, gave me the keys to the service van, and I did terrible as a service technician. So shortly after that, though, they did lay me off after a couple months because you're supposed to perform, and
Yep.
I
Make
understood
money.
that. So then a buddy of mine had his own contractor's business as an HVAC contractor, and so I worked for him as a installer for about 2 years, and that was rough.
Yeah.
130-degree attics,
Hard work.
hard work. And I'm like, I remember having moments in the attic saying, while I was installing the flex ducts and fiberglass insulation all over me, I'm like, I should have chosen plumbing or electrical. I was having these, existential thoughts. I'm like, I should have done this, I should have done that, but I stuck to it. I stuck to it, and for about 2 years, I did that. And then after that, I kind of did my own thing too on the side. Did some low voltage. Got into building automation as well
Love it.
for a couple years. 1 year programming air conditioning equipment, and then it's been 3 years now that I've been teaching. So I really have enjoyed teaching, and I just kind of put myself in the students' I guess, a situation where
Yeah.
just the basic foundation is so important. If you don't understand basic foundation,
It's
it
everything.
doesn't matter what else you want to learn. You need to have a good foundation. So, and I like to teach. I don't see it as a burden. I love where students get the aha moments. So, and that's what I've been doing now for the past 3 years.
I love it. Actually, Scott was just saying he's actually using some of your content in his classes. So
Oh, I'm
let's
happy
hear.
to hear that, Scott. Please continue using it and teaching the next generation of technicians, please.
Yeah, that's what we're here to do. We're all here to learn and grow and develop together. And part of that is sharing our experiences, helping other educators be more comfortable with doing that, with raising this next generation of technicians. We're educators, we are mentors, we are advisors. And so any tool that we can use to help them understand these fundamentals better is an absolute asset. So when I seen your class on this, hey, Osvaldo joining us from Belize again. Thank you very much. Down in San Pedro, beautiful weather, I imagine right now. Osvaldo is a technician, so this is really going to be a good one for him, Armando.
Nice to have you with us as well. Yeah.
When we talk about wiring diagrams in particular, Armando, it is one of the most misunderstood components of our industry. And every survey that we do from high school students, understanding electrical diagrams, wiring diagrams is typically the one that is the most questions. And so sometimes we have to step back and make it relatable to something they may already know. So when I opened up your video of using Mario and following a different path, I had to go get them myself, right?
You got them too? Okay.
I got them too.
Models too.
Because at first I asked my youngest stepdaughter, which is 18, I asked her, I said, hey, do you have any Mario and Peach characters? She spent, 5 or 7 minutes telling me the entire Mario story and how the movies are not really portrayed properly with the lineage of Peach. And I went, okay, so a young person will understand Mario and Peach so much more than I do. And so maybe we can relate that to an electrical wiring diagram.
Yeah. Yes.
What do you think? And my wife is she's a fanatic of Mario Kart. So.
Oh, okay. So she's going to be able to relate a little bit to this because it's kind of Mario Kart in a way, what we're going to be discussing today. So,
and that's really what makes this style of training different, is that it helps use something fun and relatable. So let's run with it because I enjoy that. I'm going to sit back and enjoy this. I might chime in a little bit, but most of the time I'm just going to enjoy it.
So
where do we begin?
Yeah, so I'll go ahead and start. So, and of course, this is right now we're referring to conventional systems. We're not referring to inverters, mini splits, but there's still millions of units that work under the conventional principle. We're just using switches. That's all we're doing. Switches.
24 volts AC.
Right? 24 volts AC and going to a load. So that's the whole point of what I'm going to go over. You have what is your 24 volts and your common. And you know that if you take 24 volts and common, and in this specific case, we are going to talk about the contactor coil, right? Because the contactor coil is what turns on typically your compressor and your condenser fan. So once 24 volts arrives to the contactor coil, you get some cooling going on.
Right.
But there's certain principles. I like to teach principles. Principles are so important because if you understand principles, whether you do residential, light commercial, or even refrigeration, you'll understand that you need 24 volts going to the contactor coil. It doesn't matter how it gets there. It just needs to get there. So every manufacturer is a bit different. So this is what I like to teach. There's 4 principles. One is common goes home run. And I'll explain right now what I mean by that. Common goes home run. And in this case, to my contactor coil, my unit is common, and that's going to be good for troubleshooting the path that 24 volts takes, and then your safeties. So we have Mario and Peach, and we'll even use Luigi and Rosalinda as well right now to explain another concept too. But you got Peach, and then you have Mario. So Peach is going to be my common. Mario is going to be my 24 volts. So let's go to where it all starts, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and just going to get the camera a little bit closer, and we're going to see to where it all starts, okay? So if we go to, okay, right there. So if you go right here, this is my transformer. And you have 2 different kinds of diagrams, right? You have pictorial connection diagram, and you also have ladder diagram. So this is a pictorial. You're able to follow everything. So Peach is common. Mario is 24 volts because we're only focusing on the 24 volts today. So they'll have to race. They have to race and make it to my contactor coil. That's the whole point. And, if you play Mario Kart, you don't want to bump into each other, right? Because that's going to slow you down and that's going to create issues, right? So you want to make it so that it goes all the way to the finish line. That's the whole point of 24 volts, hot and common. So when I said that common goes home run, but what I mean by that is if you were to follow, and I guess in this specific case, I can use a blue color, even though it says brown, but I use blue. So if you follow blue here, it goes to the board, and it says right here, it says common and /C right here. Now, on the board, these 3 right here have continuity. They have continuity. If you look at the back of that board right there, all these, whatever wire goes here and whatever wire comes out of these right here, they're all common. So if you look at the first one, it says common /C. The following one says com. The following one says C. They're all common. So if you follow Peach's path, Peach is going to go. She makes it to this big, if you want to think about it, a big wire nut. They're all common. And Peach, because common goes here, there's this C right here. If you follow it, that goes to my contactor coil.
You bet.
So you have a direct path, a home run. So Peach is going, la-di, I'm having a good time. There's no switches to go through. And awesome. There's a path, and boom, she's already made it to the contactor coil on one side. Peach is already there. Now, I'm not saying that nothing can happen to the wire. The wire can break. The board itself can
the road
mess
could be
up.
blocked.
Something can happen. But typically, common, it's home run. It's not going through any switches. And it made it to one side of the contactor coil. So now we need Mario to make it over here, right? We need Mario to make it on the other side. So technically, I could do this if I wanted to. I can just grab 24 volts and then just go straight right there. And that would work, but that defeats the whole purpose being able to control it with a thermostat, and then it bypasses the safeties, right? So we're not going to do that. We need to understand the path that Mario needs to take, 24 volts. So, and this, Clifton, this is where I find that a lot of students are having a hard time understanding the 24 volts, the path that 24 volts takes. It doesn't matter, as long as it's conventional. Right. Mario or 24 volts, it takes a path to then make it to the contactor coil. That's a given. It's going to happen. We just got to find out the path that it takes. That's the hard part.
So how are you representing these carts on your board so that everyone understands the method that you're using? Because this is a phenomenal way to follow paths.
Yeah, it is. It is. So all I'm doing is, so typically I'll use, at least focusing on just the low voltage, right? Low voltage, not high voltage. We just have 2 wires, right? Common and 24 volts. I always use Mario for 24 volts.
Yep.
And I'll use Peach as common, because Peach, the Mario has to work hard, right? To make it to the contactor coil, to make it to the load. So I'll just use Mario as, hey, Mario needs to take a path. Peach, I'll use Peach as common. She's already here. And I'll just use Mario as the one that needs to travel through the board, through the safeties, through the thermostat to make it to the contactor coil. So that's typically what I use. There's no specific rule, but I use Mario for the 24 volts, and then I use Peach for common.
How are you making them stick to the board? Because I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people interested in this.
So I have a little magnet in the back. So what I actually had to do, though, I had to go to Staples and get the manual for the system and print an adult size schematic. And I have two. I have a pictorial and a ladder. It wasn't cheap, but it was worth it, because you're able to teach. I mean, to look at a schematic, I mean, with very small print, typically that's how the systems come. It's hard sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if I'm able to print it out, it works out. So I have the whiteboard. The whiteboard here is magnetic. I'll just get a little bit of adhesive. And sometimes I have to put some glue in the back to make sure it sticks.
And connect
sometimes the magnet will come off, and then Peach will fall. And that's how I had to buy actually a new Peach, because her head broke and she fell the wrong way. And
poor
her head
Peach.
Broke. So poor Peach, yeah, she suffered, but I had to buy another one. So different magnets, they don't have to be too strong. Put a little bit of, the ones with adhesive, and sometimes I'll put a little bit of crazy glue, but you don't have to, right?
Right.
So I just, just a magnet with adhesive, and then it just sticks to the whiteboard. So
I love it, because, Scott was just mentioning, how a lot of students have a hard time understanding that relationship. And this gives us a way to be able to show the actual path using different characters. And if you're looking for this particular wiring diagram, I actually have it pulled up right now. This is just a Carrier, a PhD 4 series rooftop unit. And you can grab that right off from something like Manuals Lib, or you can grab the actual manual itself, take it to a local print shop or CVS anywhere, and have that blown up to size so that you can use it. I'm an advocate for using large wiring diagrams myself. It's the reason I got the smart board behind me. That's an actual full smart board, so I can pull up wiring diagrams here in the classroom. And it makes a big difference being able to show these separate paths. And Scott, for a scenario like you could actually show those high voltages using a couple of characters and a couple of colors, and then show your low voltages separate, and keep it clear, being able to show they are on different paths going to different places. And I think it'd be very helpful to do that. I mean, this is our racetrack of power is really what we're looking at, isn't it, Armando?
Yeah, it is. So all we care about is that Mario makes it with Peach, right? They need to race and get to the finish line, right?
Yeah.
And so, any instructors out there, it's all about being, I just kind of go back to this. You're able to learn by seeing, hearing, or touching, right? So you got to do all three, especially for the students that today, rely a lot on technology. So a lot of schematics, a lot of visuals, illustrations. So, but yeah, kind of going back to this,
yes, let's do.
It's interesting, because all we care about, if you really think about it, I mean, of course, and I always joke around with my students, this contactor here, where you see right there, it's open. all we care about is for that to close, because if that closes, then stuff turns on and you have some cooling or heating. This is a heat pump, so it would be heating in this case, but all we care about is for that switch to close. And how do we close that little switch so that power can go and turn stuff on? Well, we got to power up the contactor coil, right? So, there's a cause and effect, but we don't have Mario going to the contactor yet, so I'm going to go ahead and erase that. But another thing that I also tell my students when teaching this is that if you look right here, there's another wire that goes, and it goes to my ground. So I always say my whole unit is common. And they're like, wait, what does that mean? My unit is common. Well, guess what? If Mario somewhere touches the actual chassis or the unit itself, that's going to create some issues, because the way I like to explain it is, and in this case, Mario and Peach, I apologize. I'm going to use you as gang members for a bit. But if these two are gang members here, right? And they're going to fight, right? They're going to fight. Hey, what are you doing in my neighborhood? And this and that. And they're going to fight. And then what happens? Your 3-amp fuse pops. Your transformer goes bad. So the idea is that they're able to go to a rehabilitation center, a rehab center. And if they go to the rehab center, then they can work together,
Really?
Yeah. And we hope that does happen. It's got to be a good rehab center, though, Clifton. If it's the contactor coil is less than 5 ohms, it's not a good rehab center. It's got to be between 13 to 21 ohms, or 24.
That is brilliant.
And sometimes I'll explain other illustrations, right? Like you got your spouse and, they need therapy. They're going to fight, but if they go to the therapist, they can work together, So whatever clicks for students, that's the whole idea. So that's why I mentioned common is your unit is common, because you need to ground the common part of the transformer. So Mario can't touch the unit, or Mario cannot touch anything that has the common to it. So this helps out with troubleshooting. I see a lot of old units that do not have their common grounded. And if you did do that, that will help you with troubleshooting, because if it did, hey, maybe you have 24 volts touching somewhere, liquid line or somewhere along the unit. So they should always be grounded. So that's the whole point, though. So kind of going back to this, right? Common is grounded, right? So if you follow Mario's path, there's a red wire, and this red wire goes to the red right here, to R. So on the actual on the board, and we'll go ahead and zoom, come back down a little bit here. Okay. So if you go to Mario right here, if you follow the line, Mario goes to the R right there, to R. So then Mario's going to go. He's right there at the R right now. So now Mario arrives here, and right here you have what is a 3-amp fuse. So if I put the 3-amp fuse right here, Mario then travels up here. So now Mario's all the way up at the end of the 3-amp fuse. So are you able to catch that pretty good, Clifton?
It's slowing just a little bit, but it catches up. We're able to see it for sure.
Okay, yeah. I can always kind of bring my other webcam a little bit closer if you want.
Yeah, no, it's working good now.
Okay.
Just a little bit of latency, but it's not bad.
Okay. Thank you. So Mario then travels through the red wire, right? Coming in here. And on the actual whiteboard here, it literally says R, right? So you got 24 volts right here. And then you have a 3-amp fuse that it goes through. Now, this is the hard part that I've noticed with students. I've noticed that when you look at the whiteboard, you cannot see the wire from R to the 3-amp fuse, because it goes through the
backside
of the board. Yeah.
That's the thing. It goes to the back of the board. But that's the path it takes. And you can always, with power off, check continuity. And if you check continuity, you'll see that it has a path. Okay. So
yeah, that's a really good one too. If you have a spare board of that same unit, to pull that out and then actually color it on the back side to show as a reference.
Correct. Yeah. And so I'll have the students, get the board, take it out, of course, be safe, turn off power, right? And they'll be like, oh, you're right. There is a path. It's soldered.
Yeah, there's that connection.
There's a connection, right? So Mario barely started its race, okay? It barely started. He has a long way to go because he's got to go to the other side of the contactor coil. He's got a
Right.
long way to go.
He just entered a
So
new world, a new race.
it is. Yeah, he has a long way to go, but thankfully the manufacturers have already created this in a way where if everything's wired right, properly charged, properly wired, it's gonna work. It's gonna work. You don't have to understand the ins and outs, the resistors, how it's soldered. But as a technician, you do have to understand the path that 24 volts takes. So that's important. The path that 24 volts takes, because this is just one unit. There's so many other units out there. So, but at the end of the day, Mario must take a path to make it over here. So
Sure. And the whole racetrack analogy is absolutely perfect, because then they know that, right, there is a path. They might have to look for it. They might get lost at different places. They just have to slow down and actually look for the right path.
That's it. That's all they have to do. All right. So if Peach and Mario play by the rules, things are going to work out. Right. They can't bump into each other. Right. And Mario Kart, I mean, you can get items, kind of attack your partner and all that, but it hurts, right? So right here, it's going to hurt, but more electrically. So that's kind of the idea. I'm trying to simulate it to Mario Kart here. So
Mr. Tom Tebby is one of my favorite instructors and mentors of all time, has given me so much advice. You're even impressing Mr. Tebby, right? Mr. Tebby, did you ever think that you would actually be looking at wiring diagrams with cartoons, cartoon characters from a video game? And that's really what we're doing. We're helping gamify the physical. We're taking something that is real, and then we're adding a character, adding something that young mind would recognize. They know the game. They know these paths. They know that they're trying to get to their destination. They know that they can't bump into their competitors. But it's a race to get to the end, and they're all going to get to the end. Some may get there faster than others.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what we have to do with students. They have to they have to understand that there's a relation. In this case, like just like racing. And all the units are going to be a little bit different, but Mario, it's going to make it over here, right? So it's just understanding the path of anything, just the path, how to get there. So absolutely. Mario, right? You got 24 volts, and it literally goes to your whiteboard, and on your whiteboard it says R right there. It says R. So then it goes to your 3-amp fuse, right? So if Mario and Peach touch each other somewhere, that 3-amp fuse, usually it's gonna go bad to protect the transformer, right? So Mario then goes through the 3-amp fuse. Okay, so here through the back of the board, right,
through the warp zone.
That's right, right? So here through the back of the board, it goes to R. Once again, as students that say, that's not fair, how come it's not wired? I want to see the wire. Well, you can check it with continuity, turn off power. They're not going to have all these wires come in front of the board. They're going through the back.
Yeah. Remember those dark tunnels that you go through in the game?
There we go.
Here's the dark tunnel.
The dark tunnels. And that's actually a good point. I'm going to use that now.
I'm in the game right now, Armando.
I love it.
I'm visualizing going through this track, because during the winter, this is what me and Melanie and the girls do. Like when the girls are actually home from school, like we play Mario Kart, and they know those worlds inside and out. And I'm sitting here thinking, okay, what part of the game? I'm like, oh yeah, there's the tunnel, right? You don't know you're on the track until because like even in those dark tunnels, like if you bounce into somebody, you don't see the lane, but then you'll see like a spark or something will pop up that you just bumped into something you weren't supposed to. And I'm thinking, that's it. That's our imaginary tunnel right there.
I love that, Clifton. Thank you for bringing that up. So it's a tunnel, right? It is definitely a tunnel because you can't see it. It's invisible, but it's there. And you can always check continuity, but we don't have to do the whole meter. That's if you have some time and on the side you want to do that. I tell students, go ahead and do that so you can convince yourself, right? But then, so at this point, Mario's going through the 3-amp fuse. He makes it to R, okay? So now Mario is right there, okay? So once you get to this point, A lot of students do kind of have an idea what's going on because
Yeah.
we're using a thermostat. And thermostat, I simulate that to just a switch. Like right now in
Yeah.
my room, if I go and turn off the light and go to the switch, the light's going to turn off.
Yep.
Simple as that, right? So that switch is just a switch. And a lot of my students too, they have a hard time understanding that when the switch is closed, that's a good thing if you're trying
Yeah.
to turn something on. But if it's open, that means that power cannot go through. And I kind of simulate it to like a like if you're driving a car and you were trying to go through a bridge, if it's open, like the Golden Gate Bridge,
Yeah, perfect.
well, you can't go through. You're stuck.
Yeah, no, you're gonna go in the water.
You can't go in the water, right? But and then kind of go into with contactors and relays. If you pay $24, then you can go through, right? So that's kind of the concept that I teach, and they seem to get the idea, right? But
Oh my
um,
goodness, absolutely. The 20.
yeah,
Oh, I love
so you got 24 volts, right? And you got this thermostat. And so and I tell them, look, I know that if you go to the grocery store and if it's closed, that's not good for you because you're gonna be unhappy. But here, if you're trying to turn something on, it's got to be close so that the power can go through and make things
Good.
happen. And they finally kind of get the point and
Yeah.
understand, right? That
The whole drawbridge idea is like perfect. I mean, that's visual. You can see this.
correct. Yeah. So if you were to follow where it goes to R, if you follow that wire, it goes to a red wire. Okay, it goes right there. Okay, so and of course, right? Of course, you got common, which you cannot see, but it's behind the board, and it goes to my C, which is my common.
Yep.
And boom, guess
Down
what?
to
Now
the
my
tunnel.
thermostat has 24 volts. My thermostat is on. At least the LED, the
light.
backlight, right?
Yeah.
But the thermostat is also a switch, right? So you have something that is a temperature switch, close on rise, open on fall. That means that if temperature rises, and let's say your set point is, just 70 degrees, right? Set point is 70 degrees. And then your ambient temperature, I'll go ahead and put temp ambient here. It's 75. Hey, I'm 5 degrees over. I'm gonna have a call for cooling. That switch is gonna close. But so this is where students must understand, and instructors as well, that all this can be beautifully wired for you. It can be made out of gold, but if your thermostat doesn't work, it doesn't matter. Nothing's gonna work. Your thermostat has to be wired correctly. That's one. It's got to be wired correctly. It's got to be programmed correctly, because hey, it can be wired wrong, and it can be a bad thermostat head. I even seen bad thermostat back plates.
Absolutely, the basis.
Bad,
yeah.
Right. So it's a couple of things, right? But once again, going back to the switch function, if it's really hot and I have the mode, if I have it on cool, and the set point is 70, and if it goes over 70 and it's 75 degrees, because the thermostat's telling me that, hey, I want to have a call for cooling, because this thermostat, at least with Y specifically, it's a close on rise. So what that means is temperature rises over the set point, the bridge closes. So then Mario can go through, right? So that's the whole concept of that. So this is a switch. So let's say that is the case. Let's say that set point is 70, the ambient temperature is 75. So then what Mario does, Mario goes here, right? So Mario is still the red, right? It still hasn't changed. He's still the red. So Mario's going, all right, I'm almost close to getting that rehab help, to not fight with the other gang member, to get therapy with my wife at the therapist, whatever it is. I'm almost there. He makes it to the thermostat. I have a call for cooling. The switch closes, so now it's touching each other, okay? And so Mario then comes, but he doesn't go back on red. The red is just to power up the thermostat. Internally, when I have a call for cooling, R is like, hey, Y wire, here you go. I'm gonna close the path. Mario's gonna go through you because you're the call for cooling.
Yep.
So then Mario then goes, and now he ends up on the yellow wire, right? So now yellow wire has 24 volts.
Yep.
And I actually had a student today. He was trying to troubleshoot a system, and he was checking safeties, he was checking the board, he was going like all out, and I'm like, okay, did you check if you have 24 volts between Y and C? Did you just check that one thing? I'm like, oh, I haven't checked. Oh, okay, let me check. I don't have 24 volts. Okay, so then let me check my thermostat. Because a lot of the times, a lot of people say it's a bad board. But what I always say is, if you're not getting 24 volts here on Y, don't work your way forward, work your way backwards. Something's happening. So, but let's say this thermostat's working fine, you're at Y. So then if we were to follow Y now, and I guess I'll use another color for Y. I'll use orange. Well, actually,
Sure.
we're gonna talk about the reversing valve in a bit. So I will use a different color. I'll use this purple one, purple-ish wire. So Mario then comes on the yellow wire. Okay. And if you follow it, I'll go ahead and use pink because that color is not cooperating. There we go. Okay. So if you follow that wire here, yellow wire, Mario makes it to the Y. And on that board, you got a little kind of like a Molex connector.
Yeah.
It makes it to the Y on that board right there. Now, This is where, man, some students give me a hard time. Well, how come the engineers didn't make it easy? How come they didn't tell us? How come this and that? I'm like, I know. Just bear, just you're gonna learn this, because the one thing they get a little bit frustrated is that internally from the Y to this, right? So this is called the P1 and P2. All it is just a little block, right? So you have Y right here, and then you have another Y. Internally, there's a path between those two.
Mm-hmm.
That's all it is. But for students, it's a little upsetting because it's like, but I didn't know that. I'm like, well, that's why you're in school, and just understand that there's a path that Mario takes, right? So then Mario ends up going like that. Now he's on here. Now he's only here because the thermostat, we have a call for cooling. So then, there's a path, and it's going this way. Boom. He makes it over here, right? And these are already connected for you. They're already engineered for you. So you don't have to worry about it too much. Now, if you were to follow that yellow wire, let's follow it. Okay, follow it. Now, because this is a heat pump, there is a defrost board, but it's still a path that Mario takes.
Yep.
So here we go. Mario started here. He is going through the red wire on the board, through the fuse, going to my thermostat, coming back as Y, and then going through the Y on this little connector here. Internally, they're connected, and Mario continues the path all the way to the Y on the defrost board. Okay, so now Mario's a little bit closer now to Peach, right? Mario's a little bit closer to Peach, so Mario makes it right here. Okay, now, once again, internally, and I guess the concept here, okay, Y is going to go to Y. So if Y goes to another board, it's got to be a Y. Right? So
it goes in, it's got to come out.
It's got to come out. So if it's Y and Y, that means they're linked somehow. And sure enough, they are. So I kind of just tell them, just remember that, okay? Y is linked to Y. Y is not linked to C. Y is not linked to O. Y to Y. Okay? So right here, what is the one thing that has Y on the defrost board? This Y right here. Right there. Okay? So then Mario continues his path. Okay? So now the principle that I was talking about, right? We did say that common goes to home run, right? And then we did say that unit is common. We're focused on the path that 24 volts takes, but the safeties are important, right? So even with commercial systems, if you're dealing with big systems, all it is just more safeties, whether it's a freestat, low pressure, high pressure switch, temperature switches. It's just safeties. But guess what? It's still power in, power out. So if that bridge is open, Mario can't go through because the pressure's too high. Or if it's low on refrigerant, the pressure's too low. Mario can't go through. If there's a freestat and there's a coil reading the temperature outside or something and it's for something else, if it's too cold, the bridge is going to stay open because it's doing its job. So safety is just to alert you, hey, Mario's not going through because we have an issue. And once the issue gets fixed, then Mario can go through, but not right now. So that's kind of the concept. And so, I have seen some systems that don't have safeties or pressure switches.
Yeah.
That's really bad practice. It should have safeties, at least the low pressure switch, but they should have both pressure switches, right? But the concept is the same. Power in, power out. And I do have a lot of students at times, they send 24 volts in common to a safety switch, but it's just a switch.
Right.
It's not a load.
Yeah.
Contactor coil is a load. You need a hot and a common because the two gang members need to talk about it so they can do work together, right?
Oh,
but
wow.
But the Mario here, he's not over here with the other gang member. He's just got to work. He's just got to make it all over there, and he has a long journey to get there. But he's almost there. So now we're gonna focus on safeties. So you follow this yellow wire right here. If you go, he's gonna come out, and so here he comes out as, and it actually tells you blue. So when you go to the defrost board, right there literally says Y and then T1. That T1 is going to make sense right now. So Mario continues, okay? And it goes through my low pressure switch. And it tells you it's a blue wire on Y coming out. So then Mario goes, and that system isn't flat. It's properly charged, right? It's got a refrigerant. And I'm not saying, I have seen pressure switches that go bad, even though they're properly charged. That does happen, right? But if that part is properly charged, Mario's going to go through because it's just a bridge. Yep, it's just closed. So it's boom, I made it through. Here, it tells you it's wire nutted and it comes out as a blue, but then it turns into a black wire and then it goes to a high pressure switch.
So the lane color's changed.
It does, yeah. So I think as technicians, it's important that read the schematics and also read the color. What color does it say? Because you're going to be looking for a blue, but it's going to a black wire that then goes to my high pressure switch.
Yeah.
So this one typically is normally closed, but if you turn on your system and you have a dirty condenser, or it's gonna open up. Typically, the low pressure switch, if it's open, you don't even have to turn on the system because it's low on charge. The high pressure switch, if it's open, usually is when it's on because it's higher pressure, dirty condenser. But of course, different things can happen to the actual pressure switch themselves. But I tell the guys, do not change the pressure switches. They're a symptom of a bigger issue. Mario needs to go through. So here we go. There's no problem. Mario comes through and he comes back as a black wire to T1. So then boom, Mario makes it all the way over here to T1. Okay. So I always tell the guys, if they want to just kind of a little pro tip, with power off, you can disconnect Y1 and T1. And if you check continuity and you have a path, your safeties are closed. Mario's going to be able to go through.
Yeah, your track's good.
Your track's through. That's right. So here, if you look at T1, you're like, T1, Armando, what does that mean? T1. Okay, what on the defrost board can kind of look like it will come out? I'm like, T1. Oh, this one, T2. I'm like, you see, they got something in common. T.
Right.
So
another warp zone
here.
Yeah.
It does, right? I always try to see, like, I know you don't know this, but something that makes sense. What makes sense? Yeah. T. Okay, T2. And guess what? You're right. Because once you have a call for cooling, there's a 5-minute delay. You can actually jumper and short the speed up to, to speed up the process. But then after that happens, Mario, through the back of the board, will go to T2. After the 5-minute delay goes through, it comes out as a blue wire. And then guess where it goes to? Boom, it made it to its destination. So then Mario goes and boom. It's both gang members make it to that rehab center. They don't need to fight each other, but they can work together to pull that contactor coil through, electromagnetism, inductance, pull that contact, pull it in and make work. But if they touch each other before that without a contactor coil, you can't do you'll do a lot of work, but too much, and you're going to pull too much current and then boom, trip the 3-amp fuse, right? Or transformer. So they made it there. The husband and wife made it. They can work together to solve their problems. The gang members don't have to fight each other because it's a good rehab center. So that's the whole idea. So we just took Mario through the journey, through the transformer, right? Through the board, through the thermostat, through the wires, going back through my safeties, coming back, waiting for the 5-minute delay, and boom, it makes it to its destination with Peach.
So simple.
And you know, I just I just tell them like it's just guys, it's just a switch. It's all it is. Even with high voltage, um, typically, you know, you have the common, and it's, you know, it's dependent if it's first single phase or, you know, three phase, but you have power already there.
Right.
All you care about is for a little switch just to close and to make things turn on. That's it. That's all we're doing. And troubleshooting wise, I do tell them, hey, like, have in mind though, Mario and Peach, they have to make it to the contactor coil because they're gonna fight. So what can you do? Well, a lot of the times you have Mario, because the wires don't get taken care of by the pressure switches. They're touching copper or tubing. So what I tell them is unplug everything, unplug the T1 and Y1, go into your pressure switches, unplug it, check one wire to your chassis, to your copper, and if you get continuity, Mario's not supposed to be touching Peach before that. They're going to be fighting those gang members. They got to go to the contactor coil. So, and boom. And that's kind of the concept that I teach is going back to the principle. Safety is common, goes home run. The unit is common. And the path that 24 volts takes, or that Mario takes.
Yeah, because when you're talking about taking, you know, doing a jumper between parts of the path, like literally that you're adding a shortcut. You can explain where here's the shortcut that Mario can take and bypass this part of the track. And you're creating that shortcut. Like every bit of it is relatable to a racetrack.
It's all it is, Clifton. It's just a racetrack. I know they're coming out with inverters and other things, but I mean, for your, like, even if we're getting into inverters, if you could just have a solid foundation as a student and understand conventional, you're going to understand. You understand all the complicated stuff, but just keep it simple. Keep it as a racetrack. You know, of course, this one I've been able to practice with a lot, but all the units that I've worked on, it literally is just a path that 24 volts takes. Once you figure it out, you figure one unit out or two, you're like, you know what? It's not that hard. And if you make it easier, if you have a meter with the skinny test leads, you can always compare the hot to common to see if you got Mario present all the way through. So
I'm gonna need me some Mario leads now. You know how you put remember back in school and you had the little eraser tips that you could put that were little characters? Like I want those for my leads now.
I gotta go back to I gotta go relive my childhood. I remember Mario, you know, playing Mario Kart, having all those Mario stickers, all that. I was into all that. You know, you grow up and get busy in life. You got to go back to being a child, though. Sometimes,
okay,
it's going to help students understand because they probably play Mario Kart. You know, I'm sure they do. Adults play it. I played it. I played it last week on the Nintendo 64. You know, and the graphics are pretty bad, but I had a good time playing it with my friends, and you know, and so, you know, but it's just relatable to students.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, I just got the entire legacy from an 18-year-old. So they absolutely understand Mario Kart. I guarantee every Gen Z has played Mario Kart. They know Mario, they know Peach, they know the entire team. And when you can use them as the race and the different paths,
that's all it is, Clifton. That's all it is. And before I finish, we forgot about two other racers. We forgot about Rosalinda and Luigi.
That's right.
Because this is a heat pump. So if I want to call for cooling, I also need to send power to my what's it called? To my my reversing valve. So if you go back, I gotta first identify my reversing valve, which is right here, RVS. So we're gonna use brown we're using brown for, in this specific case, they're using it for common. So brown, I'm going to use that as blue. It's common, right?
Yep.
It goes to common right here. And it's actually 4, 3, 2, 1. So 2 is common. And so if you were to follow this internally, it's going to this common. And this common, guess where it comes from? It comes from the source of all commons.
Yep.
So over here.
Yeah.
Right there. So this common. And guess where that common goes to? It goes to all the commons over here.
Internal warp zone.
They're all internal. They're all internal, right? So common, Rosalinda, she's already waiting here for Luigi, right? She's already here on this side, right? And I'll go ahead and put her here to space. So Rosalinda's already there, but now Luigi must make it to Rosalinda, right? So it's also another race.
Yeah.
So same thing too. Luigi, right, is right here. And I'm sure you've I don't know when was the last time you played Mario Kart, but it says 3, 2, 1,
Yeah.
go. And then if you don't get it right, you kind of mess up in the beginning. If you get it right, you get a little speed boost, right? So
Yeah.
but but I don't know if you remember that, but it's just this. I could never get that speed boost in the beginning. I always have a hard time.
Yeah, I watch everybody pass me by.
Yeah, that's me too. So of course you got to program the thermostat for a heat pump. If you don't do that, then it doesn't matter what the path. You got to program it. In this case, it's a reversing valve for cooling, so you got to choose the letter O, not the letter B. So O, reversing valve. So same thing though. Mario's like, I have a call for cooling. 3, 2, 1, go. And so if you follow this orange wire, it goes to this O. Okay. And in this specific unit, when I have a call for cooling, automatically, without the 5-minute delay, it goes straight to this O over here because it says O right there. So then if you follow this, that comes out, and this is the tricky part. It doesn't come out as an orange wire. It comes out as a black wire. So that's where a lot of students get a little confused. But absolutely. It's just a wire with a different color.
Yep.
It's the same thing. It's still a path for Luigi.
Yeah.
Same thing.
The track can change, but the path won't.
Exactly.
Or the track can be different, which it will in different scenes.
My favorite place in Mario Kart is Rainbow Road.
Melanie's one of her favorites.
Yeah, I love Rainbow Road. I always tend to top. I always lose. That's a hard road, but if you do things right, Mario or Luigi are still gonna make it to its finish line, right? So Luigi's gonna go, and I have a call for cooling. So what happens is that over here internally from the thermostat, of course, it's internally it's gonna give the 24 volts over here, right? So it really starts here with 24 volts. Thermostat has 24 volts. Hey, you have a call for cooling? Here you go, reversing valve, because this is cooling. So boom, it gives it goes, and if you follow it, it goes to the reversing valve. So now the reversing valve has 24 volts, and I have a call for cooling. And the same thing too. If I have a call for heating, I'm not gonna send 24 volts. So then Luigi's just gonna go back and wait over here while I have heating, because this compressor needs the contactor to be pulled in for heating. But if I have cooling, then Luigi just decides to take that path to make it to the reversing valve. Now I have cooling. So it's just switches. That's all you're doing, whether it's W, for G, it's just switches. Thermostat is this is the brains, but thermostat is kind of the command center. Everything's working right, and it's just a path so that Mario, Luigi, track, Peach, Rosalinda have a beautiful track, so they can make it to their destination, the finish lines, the loads, the contactor coils, the reversing valve, solenoid coils, right? So,
man, so cool. I was so excited about this. I hurried up and got online just earlier today to see, how is there a chance that I could grab these? My local Kohl's had them in stock. I could buy them individually, or I can buy them as a 4-pack. So for those of you that are looking for them for your classroom, they are readily available at a Kohl's, Walmart, Amazon near you. Yeah. Armando, what size are you printing out that wiring diagram? Because it gives it a perfect relationship between the Mario Karts and the components.
Yeah, so when I went to Staples, this is the laminated version. I did want to get it laminated.
Yes.
So I'm trying to remember.
Looks like maybe a 24-inch by 36 or so, maybe.
You know what? I have a measuring tape right here. Let's go ahead and check. This is about 3 feet by 2 feet.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and I believe this is the biggest size. This was about like $60. I mean, it's an investment that
absolutely.
It's an investment. It's worth it.
Yeah,
it's worth it. Whether whatever you're gonna use it for teaching, it's worth it. So I paid for this one, and I also got the ladder diagram, but I like to teach with this one for those that don't understand like anything at first, because you don't want to start with ladder right away. So $60 laminated at Staples. The biggest size was I think 3 by 2. If it was up to me, I would have gotten a bigger one, but the bigger one you couldn't get it laminated.
Exactly.
So I was like, no, it's gonna get damaged. I gotta get it laminated, and with this I can erase the markers and all that.
Yep.
So Staples, that's where you know what? I'm trying to remember, it which is the one still in business? I think it's Office Depot. Sorry, I think it's
Yeah.
whichever two
One
are
of the printing shops, though. Yeah, I'm sure.
yeah, printing
a
shops.
variety of
Yeah,
them
yeah,
have available.
yeah, and you send the
Very
PDF
cool.
and they do everything for you. So.
All right. Well, we still have quite a few people hanging in out there. Does anyone have any questions? Have any comments? I know I really enjoyed this. I'm always looking for new ways that we can help other instructors, relate the physical as well as the theoretical. And
Yeah.
sometimes that's difficult. It's one thing to be able to tell someone how to get from point A to point B. If we can make that journey relatable, it changes everything. It did. I mean, I was 5 minutes into your video going, every instructor needs to see this. Everyone needs to have Mario Kart in the classroom. And so when I was putting the whole thumbnail together, I'm like, this is how we make what we do fun for those coming in. And that's really the goal, is to make our classes enjoyable so that they retain that information. And you did a fantastic job, Armando.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. It's gotta be fun. HVAC is fun, and
Mhm.
I'm working on, and I don't know when I'm gonna have this done, Clifton, but I'm working on doing kind of Mario Kart, Luigi, and maybe in Bowser with with inverters. But I give myself a 6-month project.
Oh, yeah,
for
yeah.
that, but I'll get
If
there.
you ever need any help on that, let me know, because I do a lot of the actual path of inverters, generalized inverters, because you can follow the path very similar on these. And Scott, yeah, it does. He's got such good stuff. Armando, make sure that let everybody know where they can find your resources, because you have a lot of really good content.
Thank you. Sure. Yeah. So I have a YouTube channel. It's called Pioneer HVAC Controls. And there I have videos that I feel would be good for those that are trying to learn the service tech side, a little bit of install. I do a little bit of building automation. I do a little bit of HVAC videos in Spanish, but my main focus is
Oh,
English
cool.
videos on how to just get better as a service tech specifically.
Yeah.
So Pioneer HVAC Controls.
Awesome. All right, my friend. Well, I sure appreciate you. I really enjoy this. I hope everyone walks away with a slightly different perspective of how to teach wiring diagrams. I hope, as I'm out journeying around, visiting schools like I did yesterday at Wayne County with Scott, that I start seeing some interesting, relatable items in the classroom, particularly
Yeah.
if they relate to things like Mario Kart. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
That's right.
All right. Well, thank you all so much for joining us. It was a blast. Next week, we're going to hang out with Luis Keller from UEI. We're going to do some deep dive into electrical meters and some of the functions that we're seeing on new meters that maybe not everyone understands. I was actually talking to Luis about this. She's like, oh, I got to watch this class now, because this is how I like to teach things. And if I can relate it to Mario, I'm in. I'm like, okay, Armando is going to relate it to the entire wiring journey to Mario Kart. She's like, all right, I'll watch it at the hotel tonight.
Thank you for having me, Clifton. I really appreciate your invite.
Absolutely. You too, my friend. All right. We'll see you all again next week on Did You Know, the ESCO HVAC Show. Bye, everybody.